with both hands. I gotta feel the kick inside. Oh, fire!
Welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck, and I'm ReneMarie, and this is going to be a rockin' show on ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I really have a few thank yous to give to some of the people that we've met in the last 2 weeks. Have been astronomical as far as connections for the telethon and just really blessings to meet along the way. But first, I want to give a shout out to all the fathers in the world. Tomorrow is Father's Day, and it really is important to me to thank my father on Father's Day. My father was a gift from heaven. He really was. He was a blessing to me. He gave me unconditional love. He passed on in 2012, but he passed on a day that really was a wink from himself and from God for me to continue to do what I do. He passed on April 8th, which was a day of my stroke, April 8th. So there's no coincidences in life. I was blessed to, from the beginning to end with my father, and he's still guiding me and still really being an inspiration to me. And he tells me what to do, what not to do, and so I want to thank my daddy for being my daddy and still being my daddy. And sorry. Anyway, so I really want to thank all the fathers in the world. Even if you're not really biological father, you're still a father to people. You support them, you show them love, you show them support, you give them guidance, you give them some tough love once in a while. That really is important. Sometimes tough love is more important than just showing someone you love them when you're giving them direction. It is the way you share those words with people. I've learned from, of course, one of my confidants in my life, Dominic Cordelessa, who was a blessing to me, to teach me, who taught me how to defragment my brain, which is a big part of today's show with our special guest who is live on the set, Liz Giordano. We're honored and privileged to have Liz on the show. And of course, we're going to be having a special guest phone interview from Dr. Max Gomex, who has been astounding in the medical industry for correspondence for a number of TV programs, and we're going to find out what his connection is to the the Head Injury Association, because Liz actually got him to call in today, so we're blessed as far as that. You know, like I said, before I begin, I really want to thank a few people, and you could take a whole shot of us while I'm thanking everybody, because this has to do with so let me introduce to the panel on the roundtable discussion before we do some thank yous to everybody. Of course, this is Liz Giordano. She is the special guest today, and we're really, really, really honored and privileged to have you as a part of our panel today.
Well, I'm honored to be here with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And of course, we have Judy Marlowe Routway, who is, I cannot tell you, I keep saying that, and I keep thanking God for Judy, because she really is the one that does the legwork, and behind the scenes, you have to need someone to do behind the scenes work, but we're going to put her up front because it's because of Judy that Liz Giordano is a guest today, and she, of course, Liz got Dr. Max Gomex to be a part of our interview. So thank you, Judy. Thank you so much. And then we have my co-host, woohoo! Bobby Baby Walker. But Bobby and I were guests this past Wednesday, on a program called The Wise Guys Show. Can you show the one of the photos that I think it's the there you go. There's the Wise Guys. Oh my God. They are hysterical. They're funny. They're loving. They're just right, Bobby.
Yes, they are. They crack me up.
They crack you up. They really have a discussion about laughter and good humor, and the sky's the limit on what they talk about.
Right.
The sky is the limit. I mean, it is incredible. Show another photo of theirs. There's the photo that was promoting myself and Bobby, and actually another gentleman who was on the show, who I think his name was
Ron.
Ron, a phenomenal. He was a vet, I believe, like yourself.
Yes, he was a vet, Vietnam vet.
Right, and he sings and all that, and he is phenomenal. There's the website for the Wise Guy show, so you hook on to the website. I'll actually run it across our show, bottom of our show, when I do the clips. And okay, so this is the one I wanted to make sure we knew was going up. Show another clip. This is the clip of all of us after the show. We had such, I mean, by that time we were like all bonded. All friends. We're going to help each other. We're going to do what we got to do. We're going to go with them. Like, we just all clicked, all of us, right?
Yep.
I mean, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So let me just look to make sure. And I wanted to shout out to Tommy Scala, who actually, who was the connection for the Wise Guys show.
Right. Unfortunately, he wasn't there Wednesday, but...
he wasn't, you know why he wasn't there?
Because his boat broke down.
Because he goes on a boat, and he doesn't bring any oars. He gets me on the phone the next day. He's like, I don't bring any oars out there. I'm like, why don't you bring any oars? What happens if your boat...
Your motor.
That's what happened. That's what happened.
Yeah, his engine broke down, and he didn't have any oars to go back, so he had to wait for somebody to come in.
Yes. And actually, I mean, the connections in life, the way that you connect with people is astounding. We met Tommy through Richard Radici. Richard Radici is my manager, one of my managers, and booking agents, I should say. And he lives in Buffalo, and he came down and he said, come out to dinner with us. We'd like to, we'll get together. And actually, we all went to a location right by my work, Prime 15. Oop, live TV. And to make a long story short, we all met, and Tommy and I started talking afterwards when we were on his back patio. Right. And it turns out that Tommy and I used to be managed by the same board member of my foundation, Jean Parada.
Oh, so what a small world.
What a small world. And it took somebody from Buffalo
to tell you that.
To bring down, to connect us. I mean, it was, and actually, and then Richard and I connected because on our last show, Louis Venaria, who... he's breathtaking with his voice and his personality. Left the show, and he called Richard up, who was managing him at the time, and said, like, Renee is really a talent. Why don't you talk to her? And Richard, so like the connection, and so we have had an astounding 2 weeks in the industry. And I want to give shout out to Richard Radici and Mason Reese for 2 performances that we went to at the Cutting Room. Tommy Scala was performing there, right, Bobby?
Right. Tommy Scala and
yeah, his comedian friend who opened up for him. Right. I'll post that on the on my posting. But I also wanted to thank him for Louis Venaria, because for the Louis Venaria show, because Louis Venaria. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Louis.
Yeah, sorry, Louis. Anyway, he did an original show the other day.
Yes.
And it blew everybody away.
It was great.
It was great. So that was his kickoff to his originals. And we're going to actually start a tour for 2016 for Louis. So I just really wanted to make sure that I, thanked everybody. Let me just make sure that I thanked everybody that I needed to. Telethon, the Wise Guys, yep. So we're going to go on to our... So thank you, everyone. We love you. We're so honored and blessed to have connected with you. And the sky is the limit for the future with all of us because we've all connected. So it's I can't tell you. We'll talk about it because actually all of them are going to be on the show. Well, oh, you know what I did want to say before I cut out is Mason Reese actually manages a young girl named CJ, I think. CJ.
I think so.
She does originals, and she has got it. Her songs, her stage presence, it is phenomenal. So it is really a remarkable. She's really remarkable. We hope one day to get her on our show because she's very talented. Do we have to go to break? Huh, Vicky? I don't think so, right? Okay, because I just saw him put that. Okay, so we're gonna roll right into our discussion with Liz Giordano. Liz, can I call you Liz?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Liz or Miss Giordano.
No, I'd have to leave then.
So Liz, let's talk about you. Let's give us a little bio on a short version of, because we want to get to the point, how you got involved, but give us a little past history.
We want to get to know you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Give us
Well,
a Reader's Digest.
Reader's Digest nutshell.
Yeah.
There's really nothing in my life that would have brought me to where I am today as the CEO of the Head Injury Association. My background is in psychology and juvenile justice.
Wow.
I have worked with kids most of my adult professional life. I ran a juvenile correctional facility for the state of New York and upstate in Dutchess County, and then worked at Mercy First, which is in Syosset, for abused and neglected kids. It's a agency within the child welfare system. And then one day I decided that I was going to move on from Mercy First after being there for about 12 years. And I was going to open up my own business, staff development and training within not-for-profit human services.
Wow.
And I
That's
never
impressive.
got there. I never got there. I was recruited. Huh? I was recruited by the Head Injury Association, and said,
"How did they know?" I'm just curious. What was the connection that they?
It's so funny. I was at our annual fundraiser, which was a golf outing in August in 2005, and the president of the board of directors announced that this was my last golf outing. They gave me a bouquet of flowers. The next morning, I got a call from a gentleman who I didn't know, who had bought a ticket to the golf event.
Wow.
And said, there's this not-for-profit in Suffolk County, and they really need a CEO. And I heard this about you, that about you. We'd like to invite you to interview. I said, oh, no, thank you. Thank you. Not at all. I wouldn't be leaving here if I wanted another job.
Right.
I said, I really want to go out on my own and do staff development and training. I'm already incorporated. He said, well, why don't you just come and speak to a few board members? So I reluctantly said yes because I thought I was wiser than they were, which I am not. And I said I could go and I could sign them up. I could hire as a client. I will recruit their CEO. I will reorganize their management team. And then I'll train their staff. And turn it all around and then move on and go next. And I'll have another client. And I went to the interview, and they said to me, well, why don't you just think about it? Because I didn't say that up front. I just said, I don't think we're a good match. First of all, the mission and the CEO have to be synonymous.
Right.
And I can remember saying it to the execs on the board of directors. I don't even know anyone with a traumatic brain injury.
Right.
I know nothing about TBI. And they said to me, well, while you're learning traumatic brain injury, you could use your skills, your business skills, to restructure and reorganize the agency. And it was being challenged by some government funding at the time. And you could get us back on track. And I said, well, I don't know if this is the right mission for me. I've always worked with children, and this is an adult program, and I think I would really miss not being involved in child welfare.
Right.
So just think about it, just think about it. So I left, and within a day or two, they called me back, and they said, come back and talk. And this is when I was going to sell them on this agency being a client of mine.
Right, right.
So I suggested to them that we do a 6-month memorandum of understanding.
What's that?
A business agreement that I would go for 6 months, not full time. I would work for other companies as well, and I would reorganize them, recruit their CEO, and do staff development and training. I want you to know this November is my 10th anniversary.
All right.
And I want you to know, speaking as a former executive recruiter, it's when somebody that we recruit gives the client a hard time, it makes the client more anxious to hire them.
Well, I didn't do it deliberately. I really wanted to have them be there, but on a consultant relationship. And they said, absolutely not, just come on board. So I did, and I signed a short period of time contract, and here I am 10 years later. It turned out to be the most wonderful employment I have ever had.
Wow.
It is a joy to be there.
Wow.
And if I ever think, wow, I'm having a bad day, or
Look at
woe is me,
Right.
or
Yeah.
what a struggle, I just walk around our day program, I go visit a group home, and I go, thank God, how lucky am I?
And you know,
And the courage of these people, just, you know, I'm not entitled to be afraid of anything after I've seen what they do.
and I was
to get
very
it.
impressed when you gave me a tour. I think it was around 2005, 2006.
Yeah,
you
I
gave
just
me a
gotten
tour.
there.
I had no idea you just got
Wow,
there.
that's incredible. So we're going to have to go to break, but before we go to break, I actually forgot to light a candle. Can you take a whole screen? Okay. You know, June is Aphasia Awareness Month, and we asked that everybody light a candle every day. If I can light this.
Shake it, maybe. And I'm going to hold the candle for you, too. That might help.
So that
We
you
should
see if you
pass
can
this
do
to
it?
Bobby, probably. Yep, Bobby.
So what we're gonna light this. Oh, there we go. We're gonna light because June is Aphasia Awareness Month, and we really wanted everybody to light a candle just in awareness of aphasia, and which is a result of a brain injury or stroke, which is really why Liz is here and why she's on our TV program, because we really believe that awareness is the biggest tool, you know, in helping people to understand. So with that, we're going to go to break, and we'll be right back.
Old Spice body spray will make you feel so powerful to blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no! It's like I don't. Power.
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce dryer bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Oh, Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power. It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power! Power!
Try this routine to feel fresh and clean. Pair Charmin Fresh Mates with your Charmin.
Oh, Spice body spray is too powerful to stay in its own commercial. That's right. Power! Old Spice body spray can change a regular smelling man into a man who smells like power!
Now, how is this? Wow, you know what? I actually do feel more powerful.
Potato chip! Power! It's me.
Being a fireman is more than just putting out blazes and giving kittens CPR. Sometimes my duty demands I fan the flames, like when a call comes in from a lady who needs immediate assistance. Maybe she needs help with a computer thing. Maybe she wants to go antique. Could be as simple as understanding that walking in heels it's hard. Ou aussi simple que l'été dernier à Paris. C'est sympa. Maybe it's ladies' night in, and she wants a simple, delicious recipe for margaritas with a twist. First, a can of limeade. Now hold on to this. You'll be using it. Side note, kittens make everything better. Next, add water. Now, a bottle of light beer. No, shh. Trust me, I'm a professional. And last, and most important, Sauza Blue tequila. Now, you mix it up. Ole. Yes, that's what I'm trained for. Whether it's to help her choose leggings or pants, telling her leggings are pants, or discussing leggings and jeggings versus pant pegging at her next ladies' night in, I'll come to the rescue. Don't call me a hero. Just call me. Let me know what time.
With some color. Hi, welcome back to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. We're really having a wonderful discussion, important information about head injuries and traumatic head injuries. And Liz Giordano is our special guest. But before we go to that, I got so emotional before I forgot to show the photo of my daddy. So can you bring up the photo of my daddy? There he is. That was a very important moment in time for me because my father never really came to watch me sing or perform anywhere. He was so busy in his life, and at this point in our lives, he finally found not that he found the time, but he had the time to come, and he came and watched me in my first actually it was the first beginning of this journey. It was done at St. Anthony's Church. And it was really the beginning of this foundation and the telethon and the whole process. So that was my daddy. Anyway, so back to our conversation with our wonderful roundtable discussion here. So Liz, we were talking in the break. There are more locations that. Why don't you share with us the locations that you have for
Sure. First of all, we have a day program, and that's located in Hauppauge, and we have another one in Medford. And that's where folks who have suffered a brain injury can come Monday to Friday from 9 to 3. We provide transportation to and from, and we have a wonderful staff there, and lots of different activities. It's a clubhouse model, so you could come, you could sit in the computer room, email your friends, we'll help you. You could do horticulture and planting. We have an art therapy program and music as therapy. We have a Zumba teacher, a yoga instructor, and it's just a fun place. And when you walk around, and we have about 250 people who attend, just smiles everywhere. Smiles everywhere. But in addition to that,
before you get to that, and I wrote this in one of my notes to talk to you about, and you just actually touched on this before a break, but we get so much more from them than we
Oh,
give.
then we give. It's not even close.
Not even close. Not even close.
It is amazing. And I say that to people who even may consider volunteering and say, well, I'm not really sure I want to do that. All I could say to potential volunteers, and volunteers will validate it, that you get back twice as much and then some as you get. They just brighten up your day. It's the courage.
The courage and
the energy.
Yeah, and they bring hope to the world. I mean, hope that what they're going through, that they just fight. They fight for their lives.
Yeah. And they truly are survivors.
Yeah.
You know, very often we talk about cancer survivors, but brain injury survivors have amazing resilience.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful what they do.
Wow. And we're going to talk to Dr. Matt Gomex about his book, The Healing Cell.
Yes,
is that what it's
The
called?
Healing
But
Cell.
it's very interesting I can't wait to hear
He'll
his
love to talk
philosophy
to you about
on that. But, okay, continue about the
So in
locations.
addition to the day program, and we have a large center, Judy, since you were last visiting us, we moved. So now we have a 50,000 square foot building.
I've got to come and see it.
In
I gotta come
Hauppauge
too.
on Kennedy
I'd
Drive.
love to see it.
And I say that publicly. Anybody who would like to come and visit us is welcome. You can
Right.
find our address
Right.
on the website, 300 Kennedy Drive.
Right.
Come, give us a call. We'd love to give a tour.
Right. Because
and-
you know what, that will, that when you're hands-on, you can find out what it really means.
That's right.
It's almost like 9/11. You can never understand it unless you were there.
Right.
You can never understand it unless you're a part of that
Right.
situation. So
Plus, the people who come for our services are so happy when they know other people know about them and where they are and what they do. So I really encourage folks to come and take a tour. Doesn't mean you have to volunteer. You don't have to do anything.
No.
Just come
just
and
your
say
presence.
hello.
Yeah, and we all believe, or I honestly believe that one of the biggest tools to recovery is love.
That's right.
Love and support, and
Nurturing,
because I know as a stroke survivor that nobody could do it for me, and that's really why I'm an ambassador at Valley Hospital at Ridgewood.
Oh, wonderful.
And that was really one of the keys to them, allowing me to do it, is because I can say to a stroke survivor or someone that has a brain trauma
been there.
that, you know what, you have to do it yourself. You got to push through it. We'll support you. We'll help you get there, but you're the one that has to do it yourself, because I can't do it for you. I can't do it for you.
And they must feel very encouraged when they see how well you did.
And you can say, I've been there, done that.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and it's very surreal to me to go around in the hospital, and because I really remember being there. I really remember being in that bed and looking up, and my brain being confused and scrambled, and not. It's very, very surreal for me.
I can
Very,
imagine.
very surreal for me to be in that place. So I understand it. I understand it. So what other places do you have?
And then in addition to that, we operate about 10 group homes. There's 6-bed facilities they're kind of spread out between Nassau and Suffolk counties.
Wow.
Actually, we have one near the studio we're about to renovate in Dix Hills, not too far away. And in addition to that, we have about 20 2-bed condominiums. So we will provide 24-hour staffing in a 2-bed apartment, and we will help with the cooking and the hygiene.
That's wonderful.
Some people need assistance in feeding. We will do whatever it takes in order for people to have an independent lifestyle.
So
it's residential day program,
Right.
and then we have counseling as
Right,
well.
and this is the side that's really difficult, is who finances it.
Yeah,
Because as much as everyone's trying to support them, you still need money to do it.
that's right.
And that's so talk to us about that.
The main funding source is New York State. It's New York State Office of People with Developmental Disabilities and New York State Department of Health. But as you could imagine, with any government-funded facility,
Fall short.
you and I don't want to live there, you know. So the fundraised dollars enable us to do all the special things we do to have a home and an environment. And when you see the building at 300 Kennedy, you will go, wow. And you especially, Judy, because you will see,
I'll
you
see the
saw
difference.
where we came from. It is just wonderful. They just love the environment. The environment says people care.
Well, you know
and
what?
it's fundraised dollars.
When you surround yourself with beauty, you just feel lifted up.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You feel lifted up. You don't feel like you're nothing. You know, if you
That's
put
right.
them, if you throw them in a housing that doesn't take
You don't
care of
feel
them, and
meager.
you feel like you know, and that plays a huge part in recovery. It plays a huge part in
It does.
recovery.
Absolutely.
So it's just crazy.
We go to Broadway shows. Who came to see us? Debbie Gibson comes.
Yes.
Oh, that's
So you
right. You were
integrate
there.
them into the
and
community
performs with our choir. We went to see Rock of Ages with. He was on. I'm blocking his name.
That's okay. The gentleman that
That
was
gentleman,
in,
he was also in Jekyll and Hyde. He
Right,
came
right.
and
Yes.
sang with Maroulis, is a Constantine. He
yeah.
came several times.
Yeah.
They go to all the sporting stadiums.
We
We
had
go
Jerry
to Yankee, Met, Jerry Cooney, former football players, especially with everything that's going on with post-concussion syndrome among the NFL players. So we have a couple of NFL guys who really reach out to
Right,
us.
right.
Of course, Jerry in boxing,
Right.
and Rich Castor, former Jet,
Wow.
comes often. So
Wow.
everybody's so kind to us. It's
So
amazing.
Talk to us about the founders.
The founders, it's an interesting story. You know, I say there's a book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. It's what they do with it after the experience. Head Injury Association was founded a little more than 25 years ago by two parents whose son suffered a traumatic brain injury. One was a pedestrian. He was about 12, 13 years old, who was run over by a car, and the other one was in a car accident, and he was a little bit older. And they didn't know each other. They both lived on Long Island. Families never heard of each other. And they were rushed to the hospital. And the hospital did its job. And its job, keep them alive. That's all. You know, we say, thank God the hospital kept them alive. Because when you come and you see some of our people, they weren't supposed to live. And now they're walking around.
They'll answer it. They'll answer.
Okay. They're walking around and they have a wonderful lifestyle. And of course, with challenges. These families met, and after rehab, and it was a lengthy rehab, they said, where are we going to go with our sons?
Right.
And they said, we want the best group home in the country. And they did independent research, still not knowing each other. And then they wound up in a group home in North Carolina. And that's where they met. And they said, we're from the Gold Coast on Long Island.
Right.
What are we doing in North
Carolina?
Carolina?
Right.
There was no group home for their sons. And they said, let's go build it. They came back, they went to Albany, and Albany said, you start it and we'll license it.
Wow.
And that was the beginning. And now
And-
thousands of people
and I
have
read-
gone through.
And I read they still attend.
The two sons still attend. They live in the same group home with 4 other TBI survivors.
Wow.
Their dads and moms are still on our board of directors.
Wow.
And it is because of them we were able to buy this big, beautiful building.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's a great story.
It's very touching. It's very touching. Dr. Max Gomez has just called us in. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk to Dr. Max Gomez, and we're going to continue our conversation with Liz Giordano. We'll be right back.
You know you already want a Toyota, but when you want more from your Toyota store, you want Smithtown Toyota, where every Toyota comes with Smithtown Toyota's Toyota for Life program, giving you lifetime New York State inspections, lifetime 10% discounts on all parts and service, 2 years of complimentary oil changes, 2 years of scheduled maintenance, and more, all at no cost to you, plus low clear-out deals on every Toyota in stock. Get more from your Toyota store. Hurry to Smithtown Toyota.
After all the candles are blown out, after the last toast of the night, Cambridge paving stones with ArmorTech stand the test of time. Beautifully designed, built to last. Only Cambridge paving stones have ArmorTech, our unique process that produces a rich, distinctive color. Create your own memories with Cambridge paving stones. Visit CambridgePavers.com.
Cambridge paving stones with ArmorTech will always look like new.
Hi, welcome back to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. We're here with the roundtable discussion with Liz Giordano, Judy Marlowe Rotway, and Bobby Baby Walker, BBW, my co-host. And on the phone, we have Dr. Mac Gomex. Thank you so much, Doctor, for attending and joining us today.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
So Liz was actually the one that connected all of us. Tell us a little bit about the connection between yourself and the Head Injury Association and how you got involved with them.
Well, it's, I mean, in a way, it kind of goes back to what I studied back in school. I'm a PhD neuroscientist and neurophysiologist by training, and that was my background. And you know, I guess I don't even remember how far back Liz and I go back. It's been quite a while. But when she started talking to me about head injury and brain injury, I realized how important it was because, you know, there are so many parts of, there are a lot of parts of the body that if you just take care of them and wait for a while, they heal. But the brain doesn't always come back 100%. And, you know, we've got to kind of take care of the squash up there. And so we have to worry about concussions, we have to worry about helmets and helmet laws and sports injuries and so forth. So there's just a lot of things that we really have to be aware of, I guess, when it comes to head injuries. And also rehabilitation and taking care. We've learned over the years that the brain actually can rewire and rehab and get better even years after a brain injury, which is kind of a relatively new finding. We didn't quite realize that, whether it's a stroke or a whack on the head. We've learned that we can actually rewire the brain a long time after the initial injury, and that's kind of new and exciting information as well.
And how do we do that? How do we, like, what's the process to rewire the brain?
Well, the older you are, the harder it is. The young brain has something called plasticity, which is sort of the fancy way of saying that you can rewire a brain and that the brain sort of figures out ways around the damage, if you will. In stroke, for example, there have been a couple of ways, and you can sort of do this the same way with brain injuries. But stroke, if you've got a specific area that's injured, say the left side is paralyzed, and you've been using the right hand instead of the left hand, you kind of constrain the right hand and force the person to use that left side and force them. It's a very tedious and frustrating kind of process, but eventually the brain actually starts to compensate and rewire a little bit, and you get some of that function back.
So, Dr. Gomex, that means that you have to retrain the brain, right?
Exactly, sure.
Okay.
So you're telling me I have to tie my, because I had a stroke. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Oh, I didn't know.
I had a massive stroke. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I suffered aphasia. So, and I used to use my right side more.
Sure.
But life has become so busy that I don't take the time, I focus my energy on my right side. So I become ambidextrous in my writing and my use of my right and my left side. So, I actually believe what you're saying. I actually know it to be true, that I need to use my right. I need to think. Well, it comes from the brain. It comes from the brain being able to be aware that to use my right side. So it's kind of a brain chain that you have to do.
It doesn't necessarily happen that you've got to kind of push it in that direction. You have to force it and encourage it, and again, it's hard and it's frustrating, and the natural tendency is just to use the side that's working. But you can actually rewire it if you force yourself to push and push on the side that's been impaired. Now, with brain injury, it's sometimes a little bit different, because often a brain injury, as Liz will tell you, is a much more global, meaning kind of the entire brain has sort of been whacked and is kind of dysfunctional. And so that's a little bit different, because then that's more of a thinking and cognitive, sometimes also, motor skills and things, but it's often a much broader injured area, or it's global as opposed to a specific area of the brain that's been injured in a stroke. So it doesn't always work with brain injuries.
Yeah. I understand that. That's yes. So talk to me. I mean, Liz, how did you connect with the doctor? How did you meet the doctor?
I think it was a fundraising event for a child welfare agency where I previously worked. Max has also done stories about kids at risk and lots of issues.
Right.
I think one of the things he does so well is to take complicated issues like we just spoke about and bring them to the public in a very understandable and embraceable way. So we met years ago at a fundraiser, and then I, being the person who needs all the help I can get fundraising, continued to call upon him over the years. And that's what brought us to where we are today.
Wow. So, Dr. Gomex, tell us a little bit about your book. I'm very interested in we just touched on it, rewiring, and so talk to us about the healing cell.
Well, the healing cell refers to stem cells, adult stem cells. When I went to med school, there was really no such thing as an adult stem cell. We were taught that you're born with all of the brain cells and all the heart cells you're ever going to have, and then of course we spend most of our college years trying to kill it off with tequila and a few other things. But
I remember those days.
Really, just in the last maybe even less than 10 years, that we've learned that we have stem cells in almost every tissue in the body, and in skin and brain and heart. And so the trick is that these cells are kind of what renew and replenish us. There's just not enough of them, or they're not stimulated enough sometimes to compensate for large injuries like a stroke or brain injury of some sort. But adult stem cells have now are really the standard of care. For example, what we call bone marrow transplants, or really stem cell transplants. It's the stem cells that are in bone marrow that replenish that. So for certain cancer therapies, adult stem cells have become pretty much the standard of care. But they're now being used and tested, and these are at various stages of they're not quite ready for prime time, so they're at various stages. But in cardiac and coronary applications, for example, they're taking stem cells and through, there's a lot of different techniques and a lot of different approaches, but putting stem cells back into the heart to repair damaged heart muscle after a heart attack, for example, to rebuild heart muscle in heart failure, that sort of thing. And I think cardiac applications are probably going to be the first, but we're seeing stem cells being used to grow new skin in burns, to regrow bone and make custom bone applications, to regrow cartilage, for example, in osteoarthritis in the knee and the shoulder and the hip. It's a pretty exciting time. These are stem cells that we all have, and because they're quote-unquote adult stem cells, that means they don't have that moral or ethical issue that a lot of people have a problem with embryonic stem cells, because embryonic stem cells come from embryos, and there are people who believe that using those embryos to generate or to utilize those stem cells is the destruction of life, and so it depends on what your personal religious and moral beliefs are, but these other cells don't have those issues, and it seems that through different manipulations, those adult stem cells might just be as powerful and as potent in many ways, and perhaps in most ways, as the embryonic stem cells. So it's an exciting time. They're being used for all sorts of things, everything from, the applications for things like Alzheimer's and stroke are a little bit further behind than they are in some of these other applications, and that's partly because you can stick in the brain, for example, if you're going to repair an area that had a stroke, right?
Right.
Put stem cells in there, and you can actually get them to form new brain cells or neurons in the brain, but that's only half the trick.
Right.
You have to get them to make the appropriate connections in different places, right?
And then we have to do the work to get it there. That's why places like the Brain Trauma Center, association is really, really important, because it takes the discipline and the practice and the ongoing recovery to create that. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's sort of what encourages the proper connections to be formed, and that's the key and the hard part. In places like the spinal cord, they've actually used stem cells to restore mobility in rats at this point, not so much in
I've
humans,
heard that in rats.
but severe spinal cord injury where the rats are paralyzed in the lower extremities, and they put stem cells in there and they help guide the nerve fibers to make new connections again. So it's all in the devil is in the details. There's going to be a lot of figuring out what the best ways are of doing these things, but the research is going like gangbusters. There's probably, the last count I heard was somewhere between 4,500 and 5,000 clinical trials going on right now using
let me ask you
stem
something.
cells in a whole range of uses.
Because I'm not medical wise at all. So the stem cells are something that we have within our own bodies, or there's something that need to be implanted from somebody else?
Well, both, actually. We have them in our own bodies, and so there are ways of extracting them from our bodies and either multiplying them, sometimes in the lab outside, and then putting them back in. Or there are companies that are extracting stem cells and then basically generating generic stem cells, turning them into kind of off-the-shelf type of drugs, if you will. Instead of drugs, they're cells that can be used to be put back in to treat perhaps heart attacks, perhaps growing cartilage. Again, there's a whole variety of different approaches that are being tried, and the key is getting the right ones and putting them in the right places in the right circumstances. What's cool about cells is when you put them in kind of the right neighborhood, they sort of know what they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to become.
It's amazing. It's amazing how they're alive. It's something that's alive that it kind of knows where it needs to go and attach to, and it's just medical is so amazing to me.
Nature is a lot smarter than we are, believe it or not.
I believe it. I believe it.
So, doctor, let me ask you a real smart question.
Sure.
I warn you, I'm a genius. These clinical trials that they're doing, do any of them affect endorphins in the brain?
Well, maybe indirectly. I mean, they're not really going after endorphins directly. It depends on what they're where you put them and what they do, but I don't know that they necessarily directly affect endorphins unless they become endorphin-producing cells in the brain, or they develop endorphin receptors depending on where you put them. So, not directly, but they could be part of that system depending on what they become in the brain.
Okay.
Wow,
Thank you.
it really has been very very exciting. Very exciting that something like the healing cell could be a revolutionary, remarkable new way that the medical is taking it.
Yeah. And by the way, the part that we didn't even discuss at this point is that they're also being used for a lot of anti-aging and cosmetic purposes.
Wow. Wow.
I tell all my friends, don't get old.
You can be young, beautiful, and have good cartilage.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. We're going to have to go in a few minutes, but I really want to know if you met Father Pope Benedict.
I met Father Benedict, the Pope, on a couple of occasions. Actually, we presented a copy of
the first book, right?
And also, I helped organize and moderate parts of 2 international conferences on stem cell research.
Wow.
Both were co-sponsored by and held at, believe it or not, in the Vatican.
Wow.
So we actually had a private audience with him at some point as well. And we just, a little over a month ago, got approval, or the blessing, if you will, from Pope Francis to hold the 3rd international conference.
Wow, that's
on
incredible.
Stem cells and regenerative medicine, and that's going to be next April in Rome at the Vatican.
Wow, I have a very dear, I would call him my friend. His name is Father Gino Silva. Did you ever meet Father Gino Silva?
I don't think I have.
He's the Pope, I think it was Pope Benedict. I think it was Pope Benedict that appointed him as the evangelist lead. I don't know what you'd call it, but the leader of the evangelists. And he's been at the Vatican for a few years, and he has really been, he was a wonderful mentor to me because I'm a single parent, and my girls went to school with him at the beginning of his when he was a deacon and then turned into a priest, and we always said he's going to be the next pope. Pope Gino, we call him.
Pope Gino.
Pope Gino.
I like that.
So, good luck in everything, and thank you so much for all the work you do. As a stroke survivor, as an ambassador to stroke and aphasia survivors, I really want to give thanks to you for all you do for all of us. I mean, we can never do what we do without you, and be where we are without your work and yours as well, Liz.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and we need people such as yourself, survivors, who go out and spread the word as well. Not only, partly that you can survive and be functional again after a stroke, hopefully, but more importantly, to get people to know what the risk factors are and how to avoid having it in the first place, because that's always a better approach.
Yes. So if you don't mind, maybe at another time when you're around, I'd love for you to do like a blurb. We have a telethon every year, and the biggest function for the telethon is awareness for strokes and aphasia. We need to join. We always say that together we're changing the face of strokes and aphasia around the world, because we want people to know that strokes is not discriminatory. It can touch you at any split second, and it really plays, it impacts your life immediately and changes your life. So we've had our first telethon this past March, and it was, oh my God, it was incredible. I was crying at the end, believe it or not.
Well, actually, what you may not know is one of the other hats that I wear. I've been a past national board member of the American Heart Association, and part of the American Heart Association is also the American Stroke Association.
Yeah. Well, they benefited from part of our telethon.
Yes. Good.
Yes.
Listen, good work. Hey, it's been great talking to you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Doctor.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Doctor.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
We're going to take a quick break.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com. My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi.
How many minutes do we have? Hello, welcome back to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I am ReneMarie. That's BBW Bobby Baby Walker. This is our special guest, Liz Giordano, and this is Judy Marlowe Rotway, who is incredible, to say the least. And we were just on the phone with Dr. Mac Gomex, who is just an inspiration to all of us. So, Liz, we can't thank you enough for being on the show. Want to say a few words?
Oh, no, the pleasure is mine, and I'm just so fortunate to be surrounded by wonderful people like you, Dr. Max, Judy, Bobby. It's just what it takes. This is what it takes. And thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. We're honored, and you know the fact that we all connected today. We're going to make a difference in the world. Because my belief, and I know all my teams and foundations, and we believe that together we need to do it. It's not about competition. We need the dollars to support us. We know that. That's a fact. But that's in the backdrop. That's in the backdrop. The money will come when you're doing what you're meant to do and you need to do in your life. And this is our calling for all of us. You find a way. You find a way. So we're going to go right into, we're going to roll out with I Believe in Music, because it's one of my favorite songs in the whole world. And Mr. Mac Davis, I want to meet you because I want to make this my theme song, and I want to sing it with you as our theme. So roll in, Tom. Thank you to Vicky, Tom, the Madhouse TV team, Tommy and Janine. Without you, we couldn't do anything that we do. Let's go. Just sway to the music. Let's go. Here we go. Well, I can just sit around making music all day long. As long as I'm making my music, I can't do nobody wrong. And who knows, maybe someday I'll come up with a song that makes people want to stop the fussing and fighting just long enough to sing along. Let's go. I believe in music, and I believe in love. Let's go. Music is a universal language and love's the key to find peace and harmony and living in harmony. So shake your hands and clap your feet and shake your tambourine. Lift your voices to the sky. God loves it when you sing. Let's go. I believe in music, and I believe in love. One more time. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe in love. Love is a universal language and love is the key for brother, peace and understanding and living in harmony. So take your brother by the hand and sing along with me. Find out what it really means to be young and rich and free. Let's go. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe in love. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe in love. Let's go. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe in love. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe in love. Let's blow our kisses. God bless to everybody. We're blowing our kisses. Let's go. God bless. Have a stroke of luck. God bless to everybody. I believe in love. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe. Happy Father's Day, everybody. God bless, Daddy.